Of rocks and weathering. Now we're about to look at how rocks are being formed. Like we said in the first part, we said that rocks have different properties. We've looked at the different properties of rocks, and we say, for example, some of the rocks, they're very hard. They're harder than others. Some are shiny. We looked at all these properties. We say some are dull. We've talked about that in part 1. We also said some are porous. We talked about in part 1. Some can absorb water. The porous one can absorb water. We talked about that. Some contain fossil. Okay. Some rock contain fossil fuel. All these fossil, the petroleum, the natural gas, and the coal. And then some contain precious metals. Some rocks, they actually contain precious metal, which is super good, which will make a lot of money if you can find any precious metal. And then the properties of rocks can be linked to how the rocks are actually formed. Whatever property the rock has something to do with how it was formed in the first place. Whether it's hard or it's soft, it's shiny, it's porous, it can absorb water, it contains precious mineral or fossil fuel. All of these are actually directly linked to the fact or linked to how the rocks are being formed. Rocks can be classified to 3 groups according to how they're formed. So we're going to name them now. So we have 3 different categories of rocks. Number 1 is called the igneous rock. Number 1 is called what? The igneous rock. So number 1 type of rock, based on how it's formed, it's the igneous rock. So there are actually 3 major types based on how rocks are formed. Number 1 is igneous. Number 1 is igneous rock. Number 1 is igneous rock. Number 2 is sedimentary rocks. Number 2 is called sedimentary rock. Sedimentary. The third one is metamorphic rock. So we're going to describe them one after the other. The third one is a metamorphic rock. The third one is metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. So these are the 3 different types of rocks based on how they are formed. Based on how they are formed. These are the 3 different types of rocks based on how they are formed. Now let's take a look at the first one. Let's deal with it. How are igneous rocks formed? How are igneous rocks formed? So how are igneous rocks formed? That's the first thing we have. Okay, we say igneous are formed when the very hot molten rocks called the magma rises from below the Earth's crust and cool down. Okay, when magma rises and cools down below the earth surface, magma. Okay, let's go like we act like it's rising. Let's see the magma. When magma is found in the second layer of the earth crust, second or third layer of the earth crust. Now, when the magma rises, okay, rises from below the earth crust. So this magma will rise from below. This one is below the earth crust. Okay, when the magma rises from below the earth crust, okay, when the magma rises to the surface and cool down to the surface, when it rises to the surface and then cool, when it cools, then it forms igneous rock. So with igneous are formed when hot molten rocks called the magma. Remember, this magma, they are hot. They're hot. They call hot molten. So when they rise below the earth crust, when they rises from below the earth crust and cools down. Now the cooling causes crystals to form in the rock. So they cool and form what we call crystals. They form crystals. Okay? So they form crystals, causes the crystal to be formed. When the magma cools slowly, then the crystals are large and easy to see. When this one is cooling slowly, then the crystals become very obvious, large enough to see. They're obvious and large enough for you to see. Okay? Then when the magma cools quickly, then the crystals will be tiny. Okay, so this one is when the crystal cools slowly. This is slowly. If it goes this way, meaning the crystals will cool slowly. But if it cools, if it's too small to see, means it cools quickly. If this magma cools quickly, if it cools quickly, then the crystals will be tiny will be small. Okay, we say the crystals, if the magma cools slowly, the crystals will be large enough and easy to see. Cools slowly. So if the magma cools slowly, we will have large crystals. We have large crystals. But if the magma cools very quickly, then we have a tiny one. When the magma cools very quickly, the crystals will be tiny and they may be invisible to the naked eyes. So if it cools quickly, the crystals will be tiny. So here we have tiny crystals. We have tiny. If the magma cools quickly, we have tiny crystals. Which we may not be able to see very clearly with our eyes. If the magma cools very quickly. Okay, so when the magma cools quickly, we've already said this, then it's not easy to see. You see tiny crystals. Now let's give examples of igneous rock. Let's give examples. Examples of igneous. Okay, let's say of igneous rock. Example of igneous rock. Oh, sorry. One is granite. One is granite. We have granite. Okay, this is a rock that is formed from molten magma coming from underneath the ground and forming on the surface of the earth. So when it cools quickly, it forms tiny particles of igneous rock. If it cools slowly, it forms large particles that are very visible for us to see. So granite is one example. Another example is bauxite. Another example is bauxite. Basalt. Okay, you can pronounce it as basalt. Basalt. Another example that we get from here is dolerites. Dolerites. Another example we can get from igneous rock, or that are called igneous rock, is obsidian. Obsidian. All these type of rock, they are called igneous rock. They are called igneous rock. They are called igneous rock. So these are very common type of igneous rock. Now igneous rocks often contain valuable mineral metals, such as metals in igneous rock that you can find in igneous rock. Okay, let's see some metals. Let's take some metals found in igneous rock. Metals found in igneous rock. Now, one of such good metal is copper. One of such good metal is what? Valuable metals that we found in igneous rock. One of them is copper. Okay. Another of such mineral that we can find is gold. That you can find in igneous rock is gold. We can find gold in igneous rock. Another very good mineral that we can find in igneous rock is silver. So you see, igneous rock super important, right? We can find very valuable metals in igneous rocks. Okay, so the many also contains gemstones such as diamonds and sapphires. They also contain not only metal, they also, let's change the color to pink to blue. No, this looks bluish. Let's try this one. Okay, they also contain some, igneous also contain some gemstones. Contains one. They also contain some gemstones. Gemstones such as, so a good example of gemstones will be diamond. So you can find diamond in igneous rock. Diamond. And then another example of gemstone you can find in igneous rock is sapphire. Sapphire. Okay, so these are the things we find in igneous rock. Now let's go to the second one, which is sedimentary rock. Let's describe how sedimentary rocks are formed. Number 2 is sedimentary rock. Sedimentary. Sedimentary rocks. So let's look at how they be formed. Okay, sedimentary rocks, they form from broken bits of other rocks. The broken bits of other rocks, plants and animals. So this sedimentary, they're from other things. They form from other things. Let's itemize those things. Sedimentary comes from 1. Broken bits of other rocks. Broken bits of other rocks. Do we get that? Broken bits. Of other rocks. That's 1. Sedimentary also come from plants. We're going to explain this. Sedimentary also come from animals. Sedimentary also come from animals. Okay, so these are 3 things: broken bits of other rocks, plants, and animals. So we say sedimentary, they're not like coming from other ground, like from materials like magma coming from other ground and cool it down to form the rocks. That's igneous. But sedimentary rocks, they form from broken bits of different other types of rocks together with the plants, the remains of plants and animals under the water. Okay, under the water. It takes a lot of time for this to happen. These bits will be like we are washed together into the oceans. These bits of rocks are like washed into the oceans. Okay, so first the bits. So I will just use bits. Okay, bits, rock bits. Okay, let's just call them rock bits. Okay, we just name the rock bits, like pieces of other rocks that are washed by rain. They wash by rains. They wash into the ocean. They wash into the ocean. They wash into the ocean. Okay, we call them rock bits. Okay, we just decide to name them rock bits. They wash into the ocean, and not only ocean, could be lakes, could be washed into lakes, sea, or big rivers. Okay, into lakes. Okay, could be washed into the oceans and lakes in layers. They will do this in layers. In layers. And these layers are called what? Sediments. In layers. And this is called sediments. It's called sediments. The layers are called sediments. Okay, they wash together in layers, and these layers are called sediments. Okay, now the layers of the sediments at the bottom will be like squashed by the weight of the layers on top of them, right? So we have layers on top, layers at the bottom. So the layers at the bottom will be squashed together by the layers of the sediments on top. Okay, you know, they will be in layers, like something like this. These are sediments, bits of rocks that have been put together as sediments. Okay. Okay. So this is a sediment. So this is like 1 centimeter. It's in layer. Then we have another sediment. Which is in layer. We have maybe on top you have other sediments. They may be bigger than each other. The size could different. Okay. This is another sediment in layer. Remember, this is an ocean or lake or river. Okay. Some are at the bottom. Layers at the bottom. There are layers at the bottom. This is a layer at the bottom. This is another layer at the bottom. Okay, this is a layer. This is a layer. This is a layer. Each of them are called sediment. Each of these are different sediments. Okay, each of these are called different sediments. So, and they come from what? The bits, rock bits that are squashed together by plants and animals that are washed into the sea. So you can see the squashness. See, the ones on top is squashing the ones at the bottom. The sediments on top is ensuring that the ones at the bottom are squashed together. It's ensuring that the ones at the bottom are squashed together and gradually form a big rock. Ensuring the ones at the bottom are squashed together. Okay, you see, it's gradually forming a big rock. And this big rock is what we call sedimentary rock. The ones on top, sitting on these ones, we may ensure that the ones at the bottoms are squashed together. Okay, ensuring that a bigger sediment, a bigger rock or sedimentary rocks is gradually being formed. A bigger in the ocean or in the lakes or in the sea, on the sea. So you see, different sediments will now be coagulated together and forming a larger sediment rock called the sedimentary rocks. So some sedimentary rocks are very soft, whereas some are hard. Now let's take a look at some, we say, as a result of squash, the top sediment squashy the bottom one, squashy the bottom sediment to form sedimentary rock. The top sediment, they squash the bottom sediment to form what we call the sedimentary rock. The top sediment squash the bottom sediment to form what we call the sedimentary rock, with what we've shown with the diagram. Is that okay? With what we've shown with the diagram. So this is how sedimentary rocks are formed. Now let's take a look at we say some of them are soft, some of them are hard. Let's take a look at the example of a soft sedimentary rock. Soft ones like sandy, they become sandy. Soft sedimentary rock, they are sandy. Okay, a good example is sandy sediments. We make what we call the sandstone. Sandy sediment. If the sediments were sandy sediments make sandstone. Sandy sediments equal to, like you say, equal to, when they are squashed together, the different sediments of sandy sediments, they squash together, they will form what we call the sandstone, which is an example of a sedimentary rock. Sandstone. And a sandstone is an example of a sedimentary rock. So it will make a sandstone. Okay? Clay sediment will make what we call shale. The clay one, clay sediment. Okay, let's just tip. It's the same sediment. Clay sediment will make what we call shale. We make what we call shale. When they are squashed together, they will make shale. Okay? So the different type of sediment determines what type of sedimentary rock that is formed. Sediments that contain shell and bones will form what we call the limestone or chalk. Okay, shale sediment. Sediment that contains shale sediments, shell and bone. So let's say shell and bone sediment. It could be bones from animals and bones. Okay, sediment, they will make what? Limestone. Limestone is a very important sedimentary rock used for so many things, for making cement, for making gravels, for building houses, and so on and so forth. So shell and bone sediment, they will form what we call the limestone as an example of a sedimentary rock. So whatever particle form sediment determine what type of sedimentary rock that will be formed. Is that okay? Determines what the type of sedimentary rock that will be formed. So that we call it limestone. Either they form limestone or they form what we call chalk. Chalk. Either they form limestone or they form what we call chalk. Okay. Then sediment that contain dead plants and trees will form coal. The sediments that contains dead plants, so we say dead plants, sediments, dead plants, sediments, they will form what? The dead plant sediments, they will form what we call coal. The dead plant sediments, they will form coal. And then sedimentary rocks, they are very important because they contain fossil fuel like coal and oil and gas. Sedimentary rocks are super important. That's why you see oil and gas companies, they go to this big sea to drill oil. They blast the rocks and they drill oil, petroleum. They drill petroleum, crude oil, and then they refine it. They get petrol, gas, diesel, gasoline, naphtha, bitumen, all sorts of byproduct from petroleum, which we're going to study in organic chemistry. Okay, so sedimentary rocks, you can find oil, fossil fuel, because they contain fossil fuel. So they have oil, they have gas, and they contain coal. So you know these three names, they are what we call the foci. They're called foci. So sedimentary rocks contain fossil fuel. Sedimentary rocks contain fossil fuel. Is that okay? So now let's go to the last one, which is metamorphic rock. I think that one we just have to quickly go through it. The third one, which is the metamorphic rock. Number 3, let's change the color to something like green, right? Okay, number 3, we say metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rocks. So how are metamorphic rocks? How are they formed? Metamorphic, first of all, means change. The word metamorphic means change, to change, or metamorphosis. Okay, metamorphosis itself it means change, to change something. So metamorphic rocks, they are actually they are either igneous or sedimentary rocks that have been changed by heat and pressure to form new rocks. So these ones, when the metamorphic rocks are actually from, I think where this, I want to change the color again. Okay, metamorphic rocks are from igneous. They are formed from igneous and sedimentary. They, on their own, they are not formed from, but they don't have their own process of formation, but rather they form from either igneous and sedimentary, any of them that has been subjected to heat and pressure. subjected to very high heat and pressure, rain, sunshine, all of this, and then they crack. So when this one change, they break, they form new rocks. Okay, they're subjected to heat. Sedimentary rocks that have been subjected to heat and pressure, high pressure. So when I say heat, remember it's about temperature. So the high temperature, high pressure, okay, high temperature, high pressure. Then they will break and form new rocks. So this sedimentary and this igneous and this sedimentary, they will break and form new rock due to heat or pressure. And when they form new rocks, they become a metamorphic rock. So they form new rocks, due to heat or pressure, heat, sunshine, heavy sunshine. Due to heavy sunshine, which result to heavy heat, heavy pressure from rainfall, sunshine, heavy rainfall, sunshine, causing crack, and that crack result to breaking parts of it, and then with heat and pressure again, the broken pieces subject themselves and form new rocks. When new rocks are formed from igneous rocks and or formed from sedimentary rock, those new rocks are called what we call the metamorphic rock. Those new rocks are called metamorphic rocks. So you can see it doesn't have its own metamorphic. It doesn't have its own process, but it's just subjection of the heat, subjecting igneous rock to heavy heat, pressure, and causing crack, breaking them, forming new rocks, and so those new rocks are called sedimentary rocks. And sorry, those new rocks are called metamorphic rocks. So now let's take a look at marble. Is an example of a metamorphic rock. Marble is a metamorphic rock that is made from limestone. Now let's take a look at some example and which rocks they're made from. So let's take a look at some example. I think after this we will end there. So examples. Number one is marble. Marble is an example of a metamorphic rock, but where is it coming from? It's coming from limestone, which is a sedimentary rock. It's made from limestone, which is what? A sedimentary rock. So marble is a metamorphic rock made from limestone. So I'm writing where they are made from. Made from. So let's put the made from here. Made from limestone. Now another example of a metamorphic rock, another example of a metamorphic rock. We say marble is an example, right? Made from limestone. Then we have quartzite, is a metamorphic rock that is made from sandstone. Quartzite. Quartzite is a metamorphic rock that is coming from where? Sandstone. That is coming from sandstone. Now we mentioned sandstone before. Sandstone is also what? It's also a type of sedimentary rock. Remember that. Sandstone, yes, is made from sandy sediment. It's a type of sedimentary rock. So quartzite is a metamorphic rock that is made from sandstone. Then we also have metamorphic rocks. They all look different because you know why, right? That is very understandable why they're different, because they form from different rocks. They form from, this one may be made from, marble is made from limestone. You don't expect limestone to look like sandstone. Quartzite is made from sandstone, so you don't expect quartzite to look like marble. And then different types are made from other Some other types are made from igneous. So you don't expect them to look the same. So they look different. What they look like depends on where they form from or how they formed, which rocks they form from. So that will determine what they will look like. Is that okay? That will determine what they will look like. When shale is metamorphosed into slate, it is hard, smooth. Okay? So we can metamorphose shale. You remember shale is a sedimentary rock. So we can get slate. So slate is from shale. Slate is a type of metamorphic rock. Slate is a type of metamorphic rock that is got it from where? Shale. That is got it from shale. And what type of rock is shale? We've itemized it before. What type of rock is shale? Is sedimentary rock. Look at it. Shale is sedimentary rock. So when you subject this to subject shale to high pressure and high temperature, under these conditions, after a long time they will break, form other pieces called the slate, and this slate is called a metamorphic rock. Is that okay? When granite is metamorphosed, it will form gneiss. It will form gneiss. Okay, it will form gneiss. So gneiss. Okay, but this G is like you silent. Gneiss. Okay, gneiss is a metamorphic rock. Where is it got it from? It's got it from granite. Remember, granite is what? Is igneous rock. Granite is what? Igneous rock, not sedimentary rock. You know, these first three we've looked at. Marble is from limestone. Limestone is sedimentary. Quartzite is made from sandstone. Sandstone is also sedimentary. Slate is made from shale. Shale is also sedimentary. But now we've seen the one that is made from igneous rock. Gneiss, you pronounce this G silent. Gneiss is made from granite, and granite is an igneous rock. Okay, granite is an igneous rock. Now the crystals from the granite, they will melt. They will melt into each other, and they will give the gneiss a sticky texture. They will give gneiss a sticky texture. Marble is made from limestone. We said that before. Dolomites. Marble is made from limestone or dolomites, and it has very fine texture and different colors, right? So in a nutshell, we say metamorphic rocks may contain mineral ores like uranium, platinum, zinc, and lead. So the minerals that you may find here, let's just put them together here. Or okay, let's give it so space. Minerals that you find in metamorphic rocks. The minerals we may find in metamorphic rocks or let's use the word found. Found in metamorphic rocks rocks. One of the mineral we may find mineral ore. They are actually mineral ores. That we find in metamorphic rocks are: number one, we may find uranium for making nuclear energy. Also for making nuclear weapons, you may find uranium. Another mineral you may find in metamorphic rock is platinum. Another mineral that you may find is zinc. Another mineral that you may find. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Okay, so this is the end of this class. Okay, this is the end of this class. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.